9/16/07. There is a list of 7 deadly sins in the Christian tradition. I will be starting with one that I know very intimately. This sin is called wrath. Most of us in modern times call this anger. I have struggled with this one all of my life. I have fought to find righteous outlets for my anger when it enters my life. I know that there are ways to cope. Diffusing the anger before it gets out of hand. I feel that when we are able to focus the anger in a constructive manner, it can be transformed into justice. Righteous anger against evil and wrongdoers is not sin. So let us begin with me. I am a very passionate person. If I care about you, you will be defended to the best of my ability. I have never considered the possible damage to myself in these situations. I avoid those people that do not like that I do not like to the best of my ability. I do not want my annoyance and dislike to turn into something stronger. If avoiding trouble does not fit into the other person's plans, I resist. I have a way to avoid letting anger escalate. If I become angry, I walk away. I will be back when I calm down. When I cannot talk anymore, I need to leave. Since the key to solving a problem is communication, when I can no longer talk, leaving is the only alternative. The worst thing someone can do is try and stop me from leaving. The second worst thing is to not be there when I get back. When I return, I am wanting to talk the problem out with them. I do not enjoy being put into a situation where I start to feel more bad feelings about someone I dislike. It just fuels my resentment and dislike. This walking away method has served me very well. I have never been someone who fought dirty in a relationship or friendship. Dredging up past hurts or arguments solves nothing. Saying hurtful things just builds the argument. In many ways, it deflects the argument away from the true reason for the fight in the first place. I have left relationships to keep from feeling more than dislike for someone I have cared about. Work situations often are easier for me. I have marketable skills. Once an employer hires me, they generally realize the gem they have in me. I have had many people try to take credit for my getting a job. I appreciate help, but ultimately there are only 2 responsible for that finish line of a job offer. I have heard many people tell me, "I got you this job, now I own you." Either God got me the job, which has happened several times. Most of the time, it was my experience that got me hired. People who put in good words for me are my friends, and they see some talent that they would like in the position. My loyalty to the person who hires me is ample payment for the kindness. If that person tries to hold that kindness over my head, I will not tolerate it. They are often very surprised when I find a better position sometime later. I take time for me to deliberate and decide. Once my mind is made up that it is not a good situation for me, I prepare to move on. I open myself to the possibilities. Soon people are courting me and a new job comes. When I was very young, I did not have these coping strategies. When I felt trapped, I allowed my anger to build. Most of the time, I could focus this energy into doing good. I got into many fights in school that had nothing to do with me. They were brought about because there were bullies who thought they could run roughshod over everyone around them. To this day, I do not tolerate bullies. So I would defend, with force, other kids who could not stand up for themselves. Sometimes it was a physical inability on their part. Sometimes it was a size difference. Sometimes it was just a very peaceful-natured person who was being abused. Size never mattered to me. If the need arose, I stepped in. This was how I focused my anger at injustice when I was a kid. Ironically, as a young adult, I was less able to do this. My angry feelings about bullies and hypocrites found fewer outlets. My self-control asserted itself. I no longer hit people. My anger now found an outlet through verbal assaults. Sometimes, verbally berating someone was enough to have the desired effect on the object of my anger. I often shared my observations of why they might feel that it was necessary to pick on someone smaller than themselves, a victim that they knew would not fight back. If this did not deflate them, at least their attention was now turned toward me. It put them on the defensive. It made them look bad in the eyes of their buddies. This hurt them worse than anything I could do. Other times, using words as my weapons of choice just egged them on. I realized later my anger was being used to manipulate me. If they pressed this button, this reaction. If that button was pushed, a different reaction. I found my personal frailties being used by people to hurt me. My problem has been that I share pretty freely. My buttons were often revealed early in friendships, often to my dismay. I have never regretted sharing. I just found it appalling that someone I liked would then turn around and use it against me. Often that cut me more deeply than the button being pressed. I found myself holding the anger inside. As a kid, it was released pretty immediately. There was very little storage of anger. I held grudges then. I started to remember disrespectful behavior a long time. I held on to the anger with an eye to seeing them hurt someday. As a young adult, there were several times my anger exploded. I was glad that there were friends around me to get me away from the situation very quickly. Bless their hearts, they saved me a great deal of trouble. The people I blew up on were well worthy of the beating they would have received from me. It just would not have been worth the consequences to me. I had to be told what happened during these explosions because I did not remember much of them. This was not something I wanted to continue. I could not allow my anger to build to the point of explosion. I had to find a better way to let it out, to release the rage inside of me. These blow-ups needed to be stopped before they ever got to the volcano stage. The storage of the anger was also having an effect on me. I realized that all I was doing was hurting myself. My anger ate at me. I was being consumed by impotent rage. There was no socially acceptable outlet for my hate anymore. I had turned it inside. I had to find a better way to deal with the world. If I did not, my anger and hate would destroy me. I learned that anger is self-destructive. I learned it wasted my time. I found positive outlets for my anger to help fight for those who are defenseless. After many hard lessons, I learned how to release my anger. This is now done in a timely manner. When walking away does not work, I turn my anger into a fight for justice. For those of you that struggle with this, try to learn from my lessons. Do not let anger eat at you. Focus it outside of yourself for the righteousness of justice. May you find the satisfaction your striving for justice brings. May you find the peace that anger's release provides. God bless the whole world, no exceptions. Angel Eliza.